This Amitabh has a habit. Amitabh, will you please stand up? I have not seen a person so committed to development of one industry, which is retail. And there is any person who is so committed to the development of the industry is Amitabh. And when he called me, he said, we need to understand what future is. I realized that he has something really dramatic in his mind. And he said, I'm going to get 1 million square feet worth business development people on stage, and anybody who ever dreams of making a mall will get all his answers here. And all of them are so jittery, they have been messaging and calling me and asking me, don't ask anything out of syllabus. But what will you get next to sign depends upon what you say today. So be careful. Am I right? Because we are going to take it very seriously as a feedback and design our malls, future malls accordingly. And some of the changes in the existing mall will come out of today. So architects in this hall, please raise your hand. Not much? Oh, you didn't call. How will they design? We have to redo this session with them later. Since we have a huge retail space demand here, I think it is worth spending some time with each one of them to understand who they are, what brand they represent, and how do they see future of their brand and malls together. 1 minute, because we have 1 million square feet to fill. So quickly, your name, brand, and what do you see malls playing a role for your brand?
Hi, my name is Anil Sharma. I am representing Ferns in Petals. So we deliver emotions all across the country. We have a network of close to around 400 shops, and we are present in 135 cities. And we deliver close to online 10,000 orders every day. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rahul Seth. I represent Burger Singh. We've just touched our 50th outlet recently, and with a few more on the pipeline. So we are only now making our entrance into food courts and malls. Predominantly, we've been high street and delivery. But I'm very excited to be here for, to take this further. Thanks.
Hi, I'm NP Singh. I head the retail expansion for Samsonite in India as well as South Asian countries. I launched the Samsonite retail in India way back in 2002 when there were no malls. And as rightly Mr. Rajneesh keeps taunting me, that no, don't only promote high street. I said my high street is only 15%. I'm largely into malls.
Thank
so
you.
this is what we do, and around 650 stores we have all over the country, in which largely we represent ourselves through the malls and the airports.
Hi, I am Lokesh Chopra. I represent Alcys Sports. We are basically sports and activewear brand. We are a budding brand, just came into retail. We have 16 stores pan-India at the moment, and looking forward to go further. Obviously, the mall's going to help a lot for that matter.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Priyaranjan Mane. I head marketing for a brand called Pepe Jeans. I know a marketing guy in this group is a little odd, but I have some interesting insights which I wanted to share, be it from a marketplace perspective, be it from a shopper experience perspective, and I'm looking forward to a very interesting conversation with all these people. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Manish. I represent VIP Industries. And what I see future is malls. We already see a lot of CBD high streets losing their charm because of a lot of constraints, be it parking, be it other problems, other license issues and everything. I think that's the future. And retailers and malls have to collaborate for that future. Thank you.
Hi, this is Preeti Chopra. I head business development for Raymond. While we talk about the footprints, I am proud to present a company which has got, like we can say, Har Sheher Mein Raymond. So this is the width of the penetration that we have, and we look forward for this engaging session.
Hi, I'm Kanika. I take care of retail expansion for PVR, which is the largest multiplex operator in the country. We operate a circuit of about 845 screens now, spread across 180 cities.
Good evening, this is Nikhil. I represent Reliance Brands Limited, and we are a subsidiary of Reliance Industries Limited, and we hold expertise in luxury, bridge to luxury and premium sector. And we are spread across 752 stores, and multiple SIS. And what we do is we sell aspiration in the country. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Manik Dhodi. I represent Adidas Group, had the expansion for both the brands across the country. We are more than 500 stores and growing more towards company-owned stores now. Somebody said it's about experience and future. I think it was always about the experience, whether it's past or today or future. And an experience can be created together. A brand is not bigger than a developer is not bigger than the brands. It's always a joint effort that will fetch us the future that we want to see. Thank you.
Thanks, Manik.
Hi, myself Arun Sharma. I am from a denim fashion brand Spiker. So we have almost 270 stores across 130 cities in India. And we are looking forward for a lot of expansion in coming years. We want to double our space in next 3 to 4 years of time.
Hi, my name is Sudeep Nagar. I represent Bluestone. We started back in 2010-11 as a only online jewelry company. We ventured into offline in 2018, and since then we have opened about 65 stores, and we are aiming for 100 stores by March 2022. And the journey for next year, next financial year is pretty strong. We intend to open another 150 stores, which will take the total count to 250. And I look forward for an engaging discussion today.
Hi, I'm Shadab Khan. I represent Being Human Clothing. We currently have 60 stores across India, and our plans are very aggressive for the next fiscal year. I look forward to a fruitful discussion.
Hi.
You are in demand, Shadab. Anybody looking forward for more stores is something everybody is looking forward to.
Hi, my name is Abhishek. I represent an iconic brand, Lacoste, which is close to 90-year-old brand. We are in India from 25-year plus running this brand. We have currently about 51 point of sales that we are operating. And we are here to understand more from you, how do we expand and what exactly we should look into this market.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sahil. I represent brand Chroma. We have around 200 plus store operational. We are looking to add up around 150 stores in next 12 to 15 months. Looking forward for a fruitful discussion.
Hi, I'm Shirish Handa. I represent Inox Leisure Limited. We are the second largest cinema chain in the country. About 650 screens, about 150 odd or 60 odd cities. We are not looking to expand too much right now, but that is right now. On a serious note, I think we are at the cusp of cinemas 2.0. This pandemic has fast forwarded, so to speak, our journey ahead. We are extremely nimble and very creative at this point in time. Hopefully in the next 2-3 quarters, we'll see results of that creativity as we go along. It's in a state of flux, so can't get into specifics, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ranjit Thakur. I represent Chayos, India's first own made in India cafe brand. We have 106 outlets across India, and mall has played a very pivotal, important role in expansion of this growth journey. And this next growth journey, we are looking forward for a lot of new outlets to come up. And yeah, thank you.
Hi, I am Indranil Banerjee. I head the business development for Wow Momo. We operate out of 17 cities in the country. Malls has always been our strength, actually. We operate out of food courts. We are there in almost all the malls from where we operate out of these 17 cities. And I would say we have added up another brand called Wow China in 2019, and we are looking forward also to sign up in all the malls. We are there in few of the malls. And going forward within the next financial year, we would be adding up 6, 7 more cities. And I'll be looking forward to sign up with all the malls in the country. Very shortly, we are coming up with another 2 brands as well. So a lot to interact with malls. Since malls, as I said, is the strength, we'll definitely have a great, great relationship ahead. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, I'm Sumit Suneja from Bestseller. I represent Jack & Jones, Varmoda only selected, and our latest acquisition, Indie Fusion, which is an Indian ethnic brand. Our retail footprint, offline footprint is about 2,000 doors in this country, out of which about 300 are own stores and about 50 odd franchise stores. Rest is multi-brand shop-in-shops. We are a very mall-heavy brand or company, and I hope that we continue doing that, along with a little bit of more presence in the high streets of this country, considering the pandemic which we've just recently gone through, and we realized that I think we should have had more presence in high streets.
Hi, Veena Premjani here. I represent Lofa brand at Love for Arcade. We are basically into the premium household products. Right now we have 10 plus stores. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Vivek Srivastav. I head the business development of Benetton India. It's a 250 store large network combination of EBOs and outlets. We have good plans. We are opening right doors, which makes money for the brand and also enhances the imagery of the brand. In this session, I'm purely looking forward for one thing, which is the consumer and the innovation and how this technology and the blend of consumer mix will take the retail to the next step. I'm also given some very interesting questions which may be asked as a pre-brief to us. And those are really, really interesting, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all of us.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, this is Akash Srivastav. I work with a brand which does Khushiyon Ki home delivery. I work with Domino's. We've got over 1,450 stores, and this is where we spread smiles in all of your homes. I think for us, the DNA has been delivery, but when the developers can come together and create an ecosystem which is part of a high street come mall, where delivery ecosystem can be played really well, is something that we as a delivery-centric brand are looking forward to. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Amitabh just told me that maybe not 1 million, 500,000 can be filled with these guys. So I would also like to introduce the real estate side of panel here. We have Abhishek Bansal. He has some fantastic malls in North. Harshji has created one of the iconic mall in Delhi. Mukesh, who has Infinity Brands and has 2 malls in Mumbai. Bipin has tier 2 cities, big malls, big centers, Prozone. And Shibu continues to develop million square feet. The next one is opening in Trivandrum next month sometime. Huge mall. So we have some bit of understanding that we need to develop with you guys and your feedback. Whenever we think of mall and whenever we meet an architect, the first thing they want to start with is the top floor, which is multiplex. Unless you get that structurally right, rest all can be amalgamated later, can be divided later, a lot of things can happen, but multiplex you can't do anything. Once you design it, it is fixed for long time, and for next 5-6 years you're going to live with that construction and very less flexibility on that. So my question to you, Shirish and Kanika, is, and I will start with you because you threw that clue to me to ask you, the 2.0. So what is a multiplex looking forward to future mall developments? Will this screen sizes have a reverse cycle of bigger screens coming back? Will it continue to have, we started with 4 screens, 960 seats because government said they will give some tax break, and it continued to remain a format for a very long time. And suddenly then we saw a shift from 4 screens to 15 screens and 17 screens and megaplexes. And the quality of seating and all that has changed. The food has changed a lot. What is in future? Will those megaplexes continue? Will you go down on number of screens? Will standalone multiplexes play a role, which is single screens converting into some kind of multiplex? What's your view?
That's a lot of questions. So
Yeah, we have a lot of time also.
We'll try and cover one by one. So if I miss something, please remind me.
Ask Kanika about it. They are the biggest.
One is about standalone. See, India is one of the most under-screened country. For a country that releases, if I'm not mistaken, 1920, in the year 1920, we released 1,500 titles in the film in the year. You have only 52 weeks. So, I mean, I'm obviously including regional content also. I mean, down south, a lot of regional content happens, but 1,500 is a big number. What that means is that we have a lot of potential to grow the number of screens. I'm obviously assuming that OTT is just a passing phase. So we will need screens, and the screens cannot happen standalone. We don't have the wherewithal to build standalone structures. We are an asset-light format. We need people like you guys to develop centers and develop centers fast. May not happen this quarter, we are in a bad shape, but hopefully after that things should start rolling again. So that's the first question about, future is malls. Secondly, you asked about what is the size going to be like, because one thing will not change however creative we try to be, is that you will have to design your top floor first, because cinemas will need concrete structures of sloping slabs and stuff like that. I mean, we can't have racks like Shoppers and other guys, so therefore that will not change. But what will change is the configuration a little bit. The one specific question I'll answer is that because of the content I spoke about, 1,500, and more cosmopolitization of cities, if we can call that, we need multiple screens. So the screens will remain small, they will not become bigger. They will remain high in number. We are not looking to start going down. Obviously, if we can't afford it, we'll request you for lower rentals, but we will not want to go down on our configuration. But one thing is sure, that there will be certain specialty formats. Like I said, we are trying to be creative. We have to get the consumer, sorry, I'll take some time. We have to get the consumer out of his couch from home and bring him into the center. For that, we have to put in some effort. We are already doing that. A lot of you may be aware that a lot of technological formats are coming into the cinemas. We have to stay ahead of the game, because we are not an omni-channel brand the way other retailers are. We have to get the damn guy out of his couch, bring him to the cinemas and show him a film that is worth his while. So therefore, technology will play a big part. There will be a huge proliferation, as I said, about with formats like IMAX or our own homegrown large screen format called Big Pix. There is MX4D that we are doing, and there are newer formats. There are two properties. One is where Rajnish's property, where we have the maximum number of formats anywhere in the world actually. There's a format called ScreenX. It shows you movies on 3 sides of the screen. So these kind of things you don't get at home. So you have to do this. So this is one side, and the other side is what we call the luxurification of the cinema experience. That is something that you've already seen. We are doing more and more all insignia screens. For those who don't know, insignia screens are where you have all recliners. PVR calls them gold class, then they dropped it. They started calling it Lux. I don't know what these guys are doing.
No fight between number 1 and number 2. We are in a learning phase.
No, we are number 2.
We don't want to learn the wrong things.
We are number 2. We try harder. Coming back to this thing, that we'll actually have a lot more experiential. This is walking the talk. Making your offering more and more experiential is something that we're already doing, and I think we'll have to fast track that with this whole OTT business coming into the play. Have I answered everything?
Yes. Kanika, your views. 3 things that we understand from him is that number of screens will remain large, so we will have multiple screens. screen sizes will remain small because they want to run multiple formats.
But only one thing I want to add is that the specialty formats that I talked about, like IMAX and Big Pix and all that, they will bring back some of those larger screens. But that will be one screen or two screens out of the other, I mean, total of say 7, 8, 10.
So, and one part that we would like to ask you over and above what Shirish has been talking about is the F&B play in cinema, and how do you see it developing in the future? And what is the requirement that multiplexes will have from malls to promote more and more F&B revenues for you? So, number of screens, sizes, technology, F&B.
Because cinema is very experiential, Shirish in fact answered most of the questions already.
I know.
I think the overall play of screens will also be dependent on what cities you are present in. So metros will probably have larger screen formats compared to probably tier 2 or tier 3 cities. The largest...
Can you specify, when you say metro, what number of screens? Will 15 become 21?
So we call a 15-screen multiplex a superplex, which is one of which is there at Noida already at Logic City Center, which has all the formats present under the same roof. A lot of these kind of cinemas will be required in bigger cities, but probably a tier 2 or a tier 3 city is still not ready for a 15-screen complex and will perhaps have to do with a 6-screen to a 10-screen complex. So number of screens will of course remain there. A lot of people are getting aspirational in smaller towns as well, so the number of screens will keep on expanding. Of course, we need more developments coming in, more real estate coming in. As far as the F&B is concerned, currently 65% of the business comes in from the box office sales. After COVID, we've also seen that there has been a shift to what the film distribution, what is paid to the film distribution channels. So, to make the experience complete and to make the cinema the one place stop for a person, because you realize that you're trapped inside a multiplex, a closed environment for 3 hours, you'll have to offer good F&B. So a lot of shift will also move on to F&B. There is a specific format that we have and which is called PVR Sapphire, which is also recently launched, and the first one being at Pacific Mall, Dwarka, which the bent is on F&B. So 40% of the business now comes in from the F&B sales. So you'll see the transition happening there. So I think it'll be a mix of both. Number of screens will expand. More focus will move on to F&B now.
Shirish made a very interesting point, premiumization or luxury experience. When you compare Indian movie pricing for this specialty formats, globally, if you do a comparison on a buying capacity, do you see room to increase prices in India? Will it go up in coming years? Will there be a further premiumization?
Absolutely. I mean, even in the normal mainstream auditoriums now, we've started adding recliners in the back rows. Because we realize at every place, there is an aspirational consumer who wants the comfort of the recliners, is willing to pay that premium to sit on the recliner seats. So Lux format is 100% recliners as an auditorium, has about 35 to 40 seats in a Audi. But in a normal mainstream auditorium, you have recliners in the back rows, which take care of, so the price is not as high as what you would charge to a Lux or a gold class consumer, but it caters to the aspiration of the consumer.
Thank you.
We've recently opened, in fact, Maison at Geo World Drive. You must see that as well. To see how we've transitioned even in improving the Lux experience.
Thank you. Interesting. So more number of screens, smaller seating capacity, luxury experience, lot of F&B. And I don't know, I saw in between COVID time, multiplexes also started delivering home F&B components. So Akash, more competition coming your way. Mukesh, we have always been debating and trying to figure out, trying to get our fingers on the pulse, what zoning should a mall do? You had some questions on that. So
yes.
what I want you to do is ask your question, and you can choose which of the panelists you would like to answer that question.
Almost 10 years in the industry, still I'm not able to figure out what people want, what the brand wants. I'll keep this to Sumit, has multiple format, and Nikhil. And of course, Veena, because she's got one format which is very different than other brands. Zoning has always been an issue. Whenever we talk to any of the retailers, say, I want to be in the right zone. Now, when you talk about the zone, is it you are looking at similar merchandise or similar price point? I fail to understand why we can't have a Armani next to a Samsonite, similar price point. Or why we can't have a Armani next to another denim brand which is not as expensive. It's very difficult to understand this. I want to have the views from Nikhil and Sumit, and of course from Veena as well.
So Sumit, you can start.
So while zoning becomes a very important part for us to decide where to go, is we would want to be in a similar category at a similar price. Obviously, you can't sit value with luxury for sure. That's a no-brainer. But similar price, similar category has to be it's a very thin line actually. So while I'm okay to sit with a similar price point, I would also want a similar category to be there. If you go back to old times and traditional retail, there's still a concept of mandi, and where mandi mein everybody is selling the same thing at almost a similar price, but yet and everybody is making money. So which is why the zoning has to be a similar category, similar price kind of a scenario. It can't be really a complete mismatch from our perspective.
Then what happens to the high street then?
Which is why high streets don't work in this country. And
they don't work? That's news to us.
And malls are more successful. Most of them, I mean.
Nikhil?
Well, it's quite a tricky question, and at the cost of sounding a little silly, I would like to elaborate a little. In my opinion, so considering there are variety of categories on the podium, okay? Acknowledging the fact that each category has its own capacity to consume a particular occupancy cost. I think it's imperative for us overall to understand every category, including it's imperative for us to understand what are the target group we are catering to. I'll just deviate a little and give you an example. One of the brands from my kitty is Hamleys. And while we might be globally we are the leaders in toy as a category, we have never reached out to any developer in the country or in the globe saying that we would want the most premium real estate on the ground floor. We always say that my target group is, I would want to be, because it's an impulse-driven category, I would want to position myself at the highest footfall floor of the mall. So I am absolutely okay to be on the second floor or a third floor, considering the family crowd will come there. So I think the pulse of the game is to acknowledging what your target group is, and if I broadly have to answer the question, then I feel it'll boil down to the price. So while of course there would be a variety of the categories, but I feel that a certain price point, customer has a like-minded tendency of shopping, not necessarily a same category product or the brand has to be placed next to each other. I think that thought process is very passé, it's very 90s, and in the modern contemporary retail zoning, we have to be absolutely cautious of what price point are we positioning in a particular segment, so that like-minded clientele is coming. And and if I have to throw a brand name, so a consumer who can afford an Under Armour can afford a Superdry. A person who can afford a Superdry can afford an Armani, and vice versa. They can his wife and the same age group lady can afford a Label or Vero Moda and all. If these set of categories are positioned in a similar zone, I think that's a success in my opinion. So price is the bottom line answer. However, I definitely would want to highlight one more point, that every category does not come in this consideration. So there are certain categories wherein you have to, like I said, understand the target group. For example, lingerie. There is, in my opinion, absolutely, guys, absolutely in my opinion, there is no sense of having a lingerie store in the middle of the atrium of a 2 million square feet retail area where the annual footfall or a monthly footfall is about 1 million. Irrespective of how progressive we talk that we are, I don't feel in our country any lady would be comfortable entering a store where there are thousands of eyeballs just glazing here and there. So there would be certain exceptions, but price for me is the bottom line.
Veena? Yeah, please. Manik wants to add to it. Manik, I wanted to come back to you any which way. Good that you volunteered yourself.
Sorry for just...
can you hear me?
Yeah, very clear.
I was wanting you to answer one more part of this question. Now, since you have two brands, two different price points, Adidas Original, I also wanted to understand your thought process when you reach out to a mall, and how do you ask for space? Add it to whatever you wanted to say.
So I'll start with this.
Please, please.
Sure. So I'll answer the first part as a customer. When I go to a mall, there are two different points when I go to a mall. One, when I have something very specific in mind and I want to buy. And at another time, I'm probably on a leisure visit with my family, wherein buying is one of the things in the agenda. And there are multiple things. If let's say I want to buy a sports shoe. If I reach a zone, so in a mall, you don't control where you will land. You park your car, you take the closest escalator or elevator, you reach a particular floor. And till date, my mark is, you all take the picture of the pillar and the parking, and when you land on the ground of the first floor, you see which store is next to the escalator, because you want to go back to the same car park. If I have 4 different brands offering sports shoe next to each other, I enter the first store, I might or might not get something what I want, I check the price, check out the shoe, I come out. Because there are 3 more brands offering something similar, I can go up to every brand. I may pick up something from the 3rd or the 4th store, or come back to the first store and pick something from there. So there is comfort. I can compare the price point, and I'm satisfied to what I demanded. However, if they are in different zones of maybe the same floor, different floor, I think the first brand in your eyesight will get the benefit. Which means if I've landed from the escalator or elevator, I see an X brand, I'll go there. Either if I have enough time, I might just walk around, but otherwise I will just pick something from that store, which may be option 2 or option 3 for me. But I'll just go back. So if everything is close by, in the same category, the decision making is simpler, your experience is better. And you feel that you have chosen from the best option. And I say this as a consumer, which is what reflects in our stores also. Coming back to the question, so for us, Adidas is performance and Adidas Originals. Originals is the trefoil logo, performance is the 3 stripes. Performance caters to everything to do with sports, whereas Adidas Originals is considered street fashion. So for performance, we would want to be next to the like-minded brands which are selling sportswear or activewear. Whereas for street fashion, we prefer ourselves to be placed in brands which are like-minded brands based on the category they offer as well as the price points. Again, for the simple reason that the customer who wants to buy something in that category as well as the price point, he will compare and let him choose from the best options he gets.
Valid point. So you're saying origin is fashion, is not sports. So not
at all.
The guy who's looking for running in the morning will not go to Original.
he's going to
but
spoil his feet
the one
terribly
who is
if he
buying
picks
Armani-
a
yeah.
retired residence for running.
The one who is buying Armani Exchange will look forward to you.
Sure.
Yeah. Veena, your.
So as India is basically a price sensitive market, our focus is work with a value for money product and get where the utility products we are developing where everyone can use in the daily needs. So in our brand, we have defined such categories where price point starts from 199, it goes maybe to 3,000 rupees. Which person can use it in a different price points. Our focus is to get the more innovative products in a better price points.
So when you look at your product category, is it more impulse driven or is it more?
Yeah, it's purely the impulse buy.
So what kind of location helps you?
Locations, we are looking at the malls itself.
What kind of location within the mall will help you? More visible or more like-minded brands?
More visible.
So you will not care about who is next to you as long as you are right up there once you land from the escalator or you enter the mall?
No.
So who would you prefer to be your neighbor?
We are looking at the more of the household brands next to the like home centers or Minisoos, DIYs like that.
So still the larger anchors in home category helps you in getting
Yeah,
more.
because our width is huge.
Thank you. Abhishek, would you like to ask? I know
Hi.
since you are making malls, you're in cycle one after other, and every single time you go out opening a mall, the space requirement changes. So,
Yeah, space requirement is one thing. The other thing that we've been discussing internally, we will have 6 shopping centers in the NCR region in the next 2 years. We already have 4, we'll add 2 more. And we were discussing, since this is a phygital conference, that how does mall become phygital? And one thing that came to our minds was that a customer which is walking into my mall right now is only my customer until he has walked into my mall. The moment he walks into the shop, he becomes the customer of the shop.
Right.
Which we've been debating needs to change. The customer needs to remain a mall customer as well. So, अभी मॉल में हम अच्छी सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, पार्किंग, सिक्योरिटी, हाउसकीपिंग, all of that. But if I was to develop something where the customer from his home knows what he's going to buy at my particular mall, and if that thing is available or not, that's one, which means we need to have access to the stocks of each store in my each mall. And second, what the customer has bought in each particular shop in my mall. Now, right now, what is happening is we barely get data on the point of sale of what is the amount of sale that has happened, or aap itna revenue share book bill kar lo. That's the only number that we get. And in some cases, we are not even attached to POSs because a lot of companies are not comfortable with it. But going forward, if we are to create that phygital mall, which is offline and online, and give the service to that customer where he realizes from his home that if I have to buy that Adidas shoe, Pacific Mall में उस स्टोर पे मिल जाएगा मुझे, वो पहले ही ऐप पे देख के आ रहा है, और जब उसने खरीदा तो Adidas को भी पता है और Pacific को भी पता है इस कस्टमर ने खरीदा, और उसका डेटा दोनों के पास है. Do you think in future this can happen? Will the brands be comfortable sharing that data? Because without that, we will never be able to build that phygital mall.
You know, in complete honesty, I have had this point in my mind for last few months, that why on earth does no mall ask this question? It doesn't mean I have a ready answer. I have discussed this internally because at times we know what is the status of our stock. In certain cases, we differentiate between stores in the same city in the category of products, which is based on the customer we realize or we feel that is staying in that catchment, which means if a particular catchment has a lot of youngsters who are into basketball and tennis, so that particular store in the mall will have those categories dominating. It's best to keep these categories rather than putting all the high-selling categories in that mall.
So, Manik, what I'm trying to say is, for example, I have 2 million people walking into my centers every month. Now, if somebody is walking into Rajouri Garden and he doesn't find that product there, but he knows that I'll find it in Pacific Mall at Dwarka because he's connected on that app. And I also know him as my customer. The mall will deliver. Not necessarily the brand has to deliver because I know what his requirement is. But the problem right now that we face is we don't have access to the stocks of the mall in each shop, and I don't even have the data of the customer who's coming into the mall. I can't collect data on the entry of the mall. Everybody who's coming in will not give me his mobile number and email ID. It's practically impossible. But at the point of sale, we do collect, but we never share data. So maybe, Nikhil, you can throw some light on this.
I don't understand why all the tricky questions are coming to me.
But otherwise, the malls will never be able to build a phygital environment.
See, Abhishek.
I think let me ask a little basic question then.
No, actually, I would like to answer that.
Yeah. Okay, Sahil, I'll come to you. But Nikhil, would you like mall to be phygital? Do you think, despite all the channels that you have, would you like to use malls more phygital space? Sahil, since you are volunteering.
Actually, my point to this was, Abhishek, see, technically, if you talk, most of the brand is already having such kind of portals. So if somebody is willing to buy online, through an online portal, why would he like to go to a mall's portal to see that if it is available at that mall? If somebody say, I want to buy probably a Veremoda, so why would he go to a Pacific Mall's phygital portal? Instead of that, he will go to a Veremoda portal because he is willing to buy virtual. See, today the difference is buying virtual or buying physical.
Exactly my point. The loyalty of the mall customer is very high because it is repeat customer.
So the same with the brand
80% of my customer is repeat. So when he realizes that my mall can not only deliver me offline experience, but also online experience, that loyalty will become stronger.
No, but the same is with the brand also. If
so by that logic, Veremoda should not build online platform. They should only sell on Myntra and Amazon.
No, that's what I'm saying. Now, see, Veremoda is phygital. He have a physical store, he have online. If you go to a Veremoda store, they say, I want to buy a particular product. He says, sorry, it's not available. But that's what it looks like. You try it, I will deliver it to your store. I think most of the brand have this kind of...
That's what I'm saying. We are trying to build another platform where it is another point of sale for the local customer. So a guy can be...
that won't be a repetition.
Yeah.
No, Sahil, the question is very simple here. We are talking about a customer who comes to the mall. We are not talking about a customer who is an online customer. A customer who frequently visits the mall, he says, I'm going to a particular store to buy something. When I go to the store, I don't find it. Can you provide that data? Okay, fine. If you don't have it in that store, some other store can be delivered to him. That's your question, right?
And the bigger reason for me is
He's
because now I have 6 touch points in NCR. And Sumit की अगर आशीर्वाद रहा तो 6 में Sumit के shops भी रहेंगे.
So since you're talking about my brand, let me answer Abhishek's question. The answer to your question is yes. I mean, it is possible. You can see my inventory, the customer can see my inventory, it is possible. Like we do with Myntras. I mean, in a true sense of omni-channel, I mean, a Myntra customer can see my inventory. Where is it available? Whether they want to pick it up from the store or they want to get it delivered to their house or, whatever. I mean, that goes for my own website as well. So, do you want to start up your own distribution on your platform?
Yeah.
I am fine with it. I'll be happy with it. And I'm sure all the retailers sitting on this panel will be very happy to do that.
The second portion of the question where data of the person who's bought, the converted customer. Because जब तक हमारे मॉल के कस्टमर का डेटा हमें नहीं मिलेगा, हम उसको प्रमोट नहीं कर सकते. We are creating an environment. Suppose somebody is shopping on Amazon for a brand which any of you are selling, Amazon is also getting that data. But today, the mall is not getting that.
So, from the tech point of view, again, it is possible. And
tech point of view, it is possible as long as the willingness is there.
And I don't think a brand should be averse to such sharing of data, because at the end of the day, it is another distribution channel for us. It is another channel for us. I operate out of online, offline, franchise, my own online, my partner online. So, mall partner online, it's a natural transition. At the end of the day, I mean, it's the mall customer which is just, even if he's buying through the mall portal, I'm fine with that.
If that happens, a mall environment completely changes. The way we market, the way we do marketing for a mall, the way we do seasonal things during Diwali, Holi, or Christmas will completely change, and it just changes the game.
Abhishek, just want to add this. I think the cinema guys have actually shown the way here because what happens is through the mall loyalty platform, you can book tickets. And PVR has given us access to that. So the consumer knows that I'm going to this, I want to see this movie, is the tickets available? He doesn't have to come to the mall. He actually can see it in other platforms. Also from the loyalty platform, you can see that whether tickets are available. So I think it's a retailers also can see what the cinema guys have made it available. Second point, yes, the brands are not giving us the data. We have spoken multiple times, but what we as a mall developers are doing now, on what Lulu is doing is, we are taking the bills of the customer because they're part of the loyalty program of the mall. We are punching those bills into our system. Through that, we generate data back and say, you like to buy from these brands, these jeans, these are offers available. Then what we promote the brand is by offering vouchers of some of these jeans brand back to the consumer. But in that scenario also we are promoting sales of the brands, but then brands are still averse to giving us vouchers also.
Shibu, how do you collect that data? You collect that data through CTA?
I collect the data by putting our team, collecting the bills from the consumer and doing it.
Why do you have to go that route?
No, because brands are not sharing it.
Exactly. The moment they share, you can build that.
No, I'm just
platform.
saying brands don't share it. Then still as a mall developer, ensuring that the footfall reaches the brands, ensuring the sales gets better, we promote the vouchers back and brands still don't give vouchers. So what I'm saying
I think he has another point to make. Let's hear him out.
I want two people to pitch in here. One is Akash, because he's any which way doing deliveries, and I wanted to come to you because you said you are from marketing, not from business development, so you look at malls differently. So what Abhishek and Mukesh and Shibu are trying to say, how does it make sense to you from a marketing perspective, getting access to new set of customers?
I think, firstly, I want to ask you, you said 80% of your customers are loyalists, right? So with so much struggle to get data and to understand, how do you measure that 80%, first of all? Secondly, I'll just give you a simple example. I think somebody spoke about movie theaters and how you book, right? So if you want to watch a specific movie, you go to the app, you see what seats are available, and if you like them, you book them, or you move on to the next closest option. Why can't we do that for a mall, right? For example, if I want to go to a Palladium, I go on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, I'm always sent to the 7th level of parking. And that's the most annoying thing, because I see there's a parking spot available there, they have that digital board going, but the mall guy is still sending me on top. Can we develop something where we actually understand, sitting at home, that these are the number of footfalls that are already present in the mall? These are the car parks that are already available in the mall, and you know, maybe this is not the right time to come there. Maybe there's this huge line because of, say, a metro construction or whatever, and you're going to spend 45 minutes in the waiting line. Can the mall help the consumer with that? And I think patience is a very important thing nowadays for a consumer, right? Especially millennials and Gen Zs, and we discussed that in the morning. I think, how do we reduce the time that the customer has to wait to enter the mall? And I think stock information and all of that is obviously available, and we can do that. But you know, you've seen this constant habit of people coming into a store, say an Adidas store for that matter. They'll see a shoe and they'll quickly go on Myntra and Amazon and check, you know, what the price is, and either walk out of the store. And how do you stop them over there? So can we give it back to the e-com partners, and with due respect to everybody who's in the room who represents e-com, can we give them back by doing something specifically at that mall, because every store has a different merchandise or has a different assortment? Can we develop something so mall A versus mall B has a special assortment which can be then relayed back to that consumer who's again checking for how many car parks are still available? Can that information be given to us by the mall? Basic things like that, I think, can start improving our experience for the consumer, and then data sharing is obviously possible. But the struggle to get the data in terms of, say, phone numbers of somebody who's visited the mall, forget converting at the mall. Even if you give somebody, say, a 5-hour free parking in exchange for their phone number or maybe some contact detail, I think that should be a starting point for sure. And that would help marketers like us as well, because if we can start providing information on that app versus sending millions of SMSs and spamming everybody's inbox, and now WhatsApp coming through and emailers coming through and social media as well, and we do that a lot. So we go and geo-target a specific mall and look at a 2 or 3 kilometer radius and start sending out messages. And we have, 100 campaigns running. And we still don't know whether the consumer has converted unless we put a discount code there. I think this system would be a little more better because then we can directly get the customer who has opted to check, say, a Rajouri Garden or say a Pacific or a Unity One Mall or whatever it is that's in their vicinity. So I think it's very important for us to start from the base to understand who's entering the store and give that real-time information. So I think eventually what we're talking about is the first smart mall in India, correct me if I'm wrong, if that's what you want to name it. And it needs to start from every step, right? From how many car parks are there to what merchandise is in the store. So it needs to be a 360.
Akash, thank you. It's a very valid point that there is lot can be done for the... I just wanted to pick Akash before I come to Harshji, and you can add. You have Swiggy, you have Zomato, you have other platforms who are ordering to your stores. You have your own call numbers and you have your own website. If mall also facilitate more business, will that be helpful? Will you share the customer data?
So I'll share a very trivial data with all of you. We have 1,450 physical stores, yet our more than 2/3 revenue comes from digital platforms. Yeah. So I think we should take a moment to digest this piece of information. Yeah.
2/3 is digital, where people
more than 2/3 is through digital platforms, which is through our own app or the aggregator platforms. So what Abhishek is trying to establish here is a very valid point. And some of these measures would ensure that during pandemic we are protected. So when the consumer cannot come to you, how can you go to the consumer? Yeah, that's a very valid question that I can put to the forum right now. What we're trying to address is an omni-channel presence even for a mall, where if I am a neighborhood mall consumer and I go to say a Unity or a DLF or a Pacific or an Infinity, my circle of influence is about 7 to 8 or 10 kilometers maybe. Can I not have a digital app of a particular mall where I would want to frequent, where I can get certain products, their live visibility in terms of what Sumit also mentioned on the stocks? Can I do something like that? Because anyway, I have got 100 apps on my phone. My typical mall visit is twice a month. How many of those apps we use even monthly, right? Some of these apps we use 3 or 4 times a year. So one logic that a lot of people say that why would I download a mall app? My question is to them, why not? Yeah, because you are more frequently visiting a mall than any of those apps that you have on your phone. Now the other question is, how can you become an aggregator like a mall? What is mall? Mall is an aggregation of brands across verticals and across categories. So how can you become a player where you offer everything, like when you go to a Swiggy or a Zomato, you get 100 restaurants listed. What you do is you go to the category of the food that you want to eat, so a Chinese or a biryani or a pizza for that matter, and then you go to the brands, right? So can I select a lifestyle category in a mall app and then understand what I need to buy? Now the question is, how do we incentivize a consumer like me to download a mall app? So do I get a free parking when I enter the mall? Or how do you give me a special badge that I am the one who downloaded your app? Do we have a service differentiator for people like them? Otherwise, your mall app would be downloaded once when you get the free parking. Tomorrow, that guy will delete that app. And it has happened with so many brands, right? People use that free offer, download it twice, and then delete it. So you have to create value for the consumer. That is very, very important. Otherwise, all of the apps that we are trying to make will be one of those apps in our phone calls.
So Akash, I take your point that how do you acquire customer? Abhishek.
I just want to add one here. Abhishek, to answer to your question is yes and no both. Just from a brand's perspective, if Domino's is in your mall and Domino's is sharing data with you, how are you assuring Domino that you will not start promoting Pizza Hut to them? So that's the point that brand has in mind.
That goes for Amazon and Myntra also. No?
Yeah, possible. So what happens?
If you're buying Lacoste on Myntra,
Yeah.
Myntra has the data of the customer.
Very true.
He may tomorrow sell him a Jack and Jones email.
So it's possible that if somebody is buying Lacoste, they can start pushing some similar brand to the customer. That's possible. If you ask me as a Lacoste as a brand, what we believe in is the customer experience, and we Phygital, we want more customer to come to our store and experience the product. But at the same time, if we are sharing the data with you or with the mall, we also need an assurance that that data is being consumed for the right purpose and is not available to the competition to an extent that it start hurting me as a business. But if both of us can really come to a certain platform.
Checks and balances, basically. Checks and balances can be put into place.
So I think checks and balances, as Akash said, you are an aggregator. That way, if you have an app, every information is available to the customer, I don't think a brand should also have any hesitation in sharing your data with you.
I wanted to ask a question to Sudeep, since you have online business which is also strong for your jewelry brand and offline. How expensive it is to get an app downloaded? What is the cost of customer acquisition?
So typically, it's pretty expensive. We spend almost about 4,000 to 5,000 rupees per customer acquisition. And on similar lines,
Abhishek, you can make
it's
a
not,
mall.
it's not very easy to give the same experience that a lot of online companies are giving. The development cost plus the product management to give a phygital experience to your customers seems to be very easy, but I believe a lot of us will understand and experience that developing a seamless experience across stores and then for a mall to do a phygital, it will be a kind of mammoth task to integrate multiple brands and then to ensure that whether you'll be able to manage that or not. So that's the biggest apprehension, that data sharing, usage of data comes to a later stage. First point that I'll be very concerned about is how my customer is experiencing my brand at your platform. Being with Myntra or Flipkart, it's totally different. They have a huge team, they manage the experience well, and they ensure that the delivery experiences are very well.
I just wanted to add the numbers together from what Sudeep just said, and please correct my zeros if I miss somewhere, because there are going to be too many of them. If 4,000 rupees is per customer acquisition, and you need minimum 1 month footfall to be captured on mobile screen, is a million, is 4,000 million, which is 4 billion, which is 400 crore. You can likely to make a mall in that much money.
Exactly, but if you can make something like that, you will generate revenue worth one mall also. If you can successfully make it, you will generate revenue worth one mall.
So I want to know
so it's worth the investment.
Which brand on their hypermarket or hyper-local model has reached, say, 400, 500 crore annual turnover to really match up to a mall consumption for a month, for a year. I am just taking a mid-size. The bigger ones will definitely be a 1,400 crore plus, but a mid-size mall which can be constructed in 400 crore rupees. How many brands have experienced that kind of online sale so far? Anyone who has reached 400 crore annually on online? Reliance, Nikhil? You are a private company, you don't want to disclose numbers. We wait for your getting listed. Nykaa may share. They are listed with only 90 crore EBITDA and 130 crore value.
Hey Rajesh, thank you for answering. Being a listed company, I cannot disclose the numbers, but let me try and address.
You blamed us for asking all tricky questions, so I thought I solve it for you.
I was just complaining that why tricky questions are coming to me. So let me try and address the major issue. Okay. Fundamentally, Abhishek, what you're asking, the answer is yes. But let's understand the nitty-gritties. There are two major concepts. Number one, your assumption is when you're talking about that customer, then you're talking about a very evolved customer. When you're talking about an evolved customer, the fundamentals are that he's aware. He's like, you know, he has an A game. He's up on the social media, he's completely aware of the brand. Globally, what are the new, you know, in your spring summer, which is a new pattern, what are the color designs, everything, they are completely aware, and we have such customers. Fundamentally, globally, e-commerce and brick and mortar, they coexist. They have been coexisting more than 2 decades. In India, unfortunately, after a decade, now, I think most of us have realized the fundamental difference between e-commerce and omni-channel, correct? Because majority of the people have kind of trying to play the game of price sensitivity in the e-commerce, and that's the differentiating factor of brick and mortar and e-commerce. The customer diverts. When you're talking about an evolved customer, then the number one assumption is that if the customer wants a plain platonic transaction, he will go on an app, he will download. Right? Now we will go one stage later will be a discussion whether that app is yours or mine. Let's leave it for the timing, or a third-party aggregator. Let's leave that discussion. If it's a transactional experience, customer will go on an e-commerce. If he want a customer experience, he will come to brick and mortar. That's what the future lies. That's where most of the brands are currently thriving and aspiring on, to deliver that customer experience, correct? Your first question when you ask this question that, a person is coming to the mall, the sentence is not complete. A person is coming to a mall, because we are talking about an evolved customer, a person is coming to a mall to buy Adidas. Now first we have to answer whether he's an Adi customer or a Pacific customer, right? Right now, the debate is on. But fundamentally, in a beautiful world where everything will coexist, we will have omni-channel, there will not be price difference. Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. That's the answer. Unfortunately or fortunately, it will all boil down to 3-4 factors. Number one would be the basic hygiene of branding, how you will display, how will you manage data, transparency, and of course it cannot be a unilateral communication wherein only I am communicating data to you. The malls also need to so as of now, if I stand up and say that, Abhishek, I want to know which brand is doing what number, how many footfall, what are the mall footfall and all, not necessarily we have that data handy, right? Prima facie, I feel, yes, it can coexist, as in we can come together, curate a technology or an app wherein, which will align both of our interests and put forward to a beautiful retail journey from a particular catchment, a mall. But evolved, both side data has to be, absolutely pure and transparent. Absolutely. And the intentions and all, and price sensitivity has to be off, the prices has to be, stagnant. I think then we can.
So basically you're saying with checks and balances, it is possible?
Yes, it's absolutely possible.
I want to bring in our first speaker here. Somebody please pass on the mic. It's all been gravitated to that side. You run a very successful online model, Fun and Petal, huge database. I want to understand 3 numbers from you, 3 kind of numbers from you. What is the cost of acquisition of a new customer? What is the cost of retaining a customer? And what is the cost of marketing additional sale to a customer? I know the kind of emails and reminders I get on every anniversary that have I sent bouquet to my wife or not. I forget my anniversary, but you don't forget. 3 days, 4 days in advance, it always comes to me. So I want to understand what is the cost of doing that.
So whatever business we do, most of the money is being taken by Google.
By Google?
So that...
God bless.
So when we talk about, cost of acquisition and retaining the customer and everything, and basically what Sir is saying that we will have to look at the brand perspective and the mall perspective, and we should not feel that, we are competing with each other. We are talking about forming a bond between both the parties, and let us elevate the facility in such a way wherein brand is also contributing and the mall is also contributing and creating a very good ambience for the customer to come and enjoy.
So if you can share one data point, Abhishek talked about it and we are trying to get some numeric answer to it. When you do go out market to a particular consumer on a particular event, because you do it very beautifully, because you exactly know which bouquet went for which event, what message went onto it. What is the conversion rate? Abhishek talked about saying, can I send back to my customer a product and to buy? What is your marketing conversion rate? Is it low single digit, high single digit, double digit, or your success rate is like 50, 60, 70%?
So I'll answer it in this way, that our ATV is somewhere around, if I talk about online, it is close to around 1100, 1200 rupees. Not more
that is the average price point. What is the conversion ratio?
Conversion rate is whatever traffic which we get on our website. Conversion rate would be somewhere around 2.5, 2.6.
2.6% of the traffic coming online. Your conversion is 37%.
Because they have various options.
The purpose of the app that we are trying to build is not to create more shopping only on the app. The purpose is to make that 37% to 45% by giving the information at home.
Right.
Sorry, can I just add something? I think in this whole discussion we're forgetting the customer. What does the customer want? The customers sitting at home sometimes want to know if I am doing the journey to this mall, is that product available at that store? Can I check it out now? So that if I make the journey, it's not, it's worth my while because eventually I'll get what I want, number one. Number two, I think it's also a gratification of acquiring a product right now. So when I order online, it will come 3 days later. If I'm a Prime customer, it might, Amazon Prime, it might come maybe express delivery next day. But how often do we want to go and say, look, the feeling of owning that Adidas shoe now, wearing it for the tomorrow morning's run, is also, I think, something that we're forgetting. And that's all this what Abhishek is saying is that how do we enhance the consumer experience at the mall
I think we
to
need
make sure.
You made a very valid point, Vipin. What is consumer looking forward? And Nikhil touched upon that the debate is on whether it is an Adidas customer or a mall customer. I think when customer comes to a mall or go to any physical store on a high street, they are looking at a very different experience. And just to give an example, Select City Walk was very successful even before Zara or H&M was part of their mall. It was the experience, it was the physical space, the sense of physical space. Over last 14 years, they would have changed at least 70% of their brands. But that's only an evolution. So a customer still goes to Select. If customer has to go to Adidas, why would one mall, Select City Walk, or one Pacific Mall in West Delhi will get more customer than the other stores of similar brands in that city? Because customer is not necessarily going to a brand store. Customer is going to an experience center, which is larger roof, and happens to shop. And customer was buying fashion before Zara came to India. Customer was buying value fashion before H&M came to India.
Eventually, when you live in a catchment, the mall becomes a community mall for you. You are not always going to a mall to always get the same experience week after week. Often you're also going to fulfill your need or want at the mall, and you have a specific need. So it's not always that you visit thrice a month and it's always about experience, because for example, I go to Infinity Mukesh's mall, which is close to my home. It's not always that I want experience every time I go. Sometimes I go for pure shopping.
How come his mall is close to your house and not mine? I'm sorry, I'm diverting a bit.
I'll have to shift to Malad. I'm talking about the Andheri mall.
Oh, you're, this okay. I don't have a mall in Andheri.
So, but I'm saying that, you have to be, eventually, if I'm living in a catchment and the mall happens to be there, it also becomes my mall to shop. It's not always that I have to go and experience everything in the mall every time. I must go watch a movie, I must go eat. If sometimes I just want to go pure shopping, I need something. Before I get out of my couch, I need to know if it's available, and I don't want to, do that effort of going. So an app which can tell a customer.
Is it not different from what we have been talking, that the malls have, and I'm your side.
I'm saying through a mall app, for example, sorry to interrupt, through a mall app, can I link to
but why will
Reliance Brands app? Can I just link?
Tell me one thing, I'm playing a devil's role. Why will you lose a customer telling him that product is not available? Let him come, he may not buy Adidas.
You're not thinking consumer, boss. That's
Look at the customer. You're looking at the customer first. Customer wants to know
please understand
whether he'll get the product when he comes to mall or no.
I think it's a tricky one.
It's like saying, I will make the mall circulation such that they have to go through this. You're making life difficult. Think consumer. Please understand, if he will bless you, if he doesn't or she doesn't have to travel 20 minutes, park the car, come up to the store of Croma and say, boss ka ye wala brand nahi hai. They'll be disappointed, boss. So please understand, if they know it's available, they'll go.
See, like if a customer is coming and he's saying, I need a Bose speaker, and the app says Bose is not available, a particular Chroma at Infinity.
Because he's
that's what I'm saying. That
Bose.
won't impact the. See, today if he comes to my
This is
store
all in
and
your
say
mind.
Bose is not available, I can sell him something else.
ये पुराना सोच हो गया है कि वो Bose लेने आएगा, नहीं मिलेगा, 2 आइसक्रीम तो खा लेगा.
No, but not the ice cream. I'm not going. I'm being selfish. My store, if Bose is not available, can't I sell him a JBL? Can't I sell him a Urban Garden?
But if he's a Bose customer, let him have the option to check.
No, but that's what I'm
Why
saying.
not?
What percent of those customers, if there are 20 customers, 100 customers coming on that app, if all those 100 says Bose is not available, they will not come. But if 50 of them, 20 of them come and buy Urban Garden, mall is losing that
If
sale.
I have a specific requirement, why am I restricting a consumer for checking it out? Why am I defining everything
I think
consumer first?
Is a debate which will keep going on. Harshji, you wanted to ask any question.
No, I'm totally...
And you please let us know who you want to answer so that I have been reminded of time.
Continuing
we
this
can't
one.
hold people
So
away
first
from
of all, data sharing is no harm. Mall are ready to share the data with the retailers. And if retailer shares the data, it can be helpful for the studying of the profile of the customer. That's for sure. But I'm not agreeing with Abhishek that if particular Adidas shoes is not available in Pacific Reservoir Garden, we can supply them from Pacific and Dwarka. That will spoil the entire thing. Then it's not a customer of Pacific Mall, it's a customer of Adidas. What should I do? I should give them experience, and he will come to the mall and he will go to Adidas. If that particular shoes is not available in Adidas, equally he will go to Nike or go to another brand, and he will certainly buy equally good shoes. And next time Adidas will learn that if I don't keep these type of stuff, my customer will go away. The customer is the mall. 90% of the 80% of the customer is the mall. When they come to the mall, it's for experience. I'm not agreeing with the sir also that every time mall, you can say decorates, give experience with a separate new things. Like if you visited a Vegas mall 15 days ago, it was a different theme altogether. And if you are visiting today, it's a different theme altogether. And if you will visit the mall after 15 days, you will find new things here. People are coming to mall. We are shouting from in the morning everywhere, the mall is experience, mall is an experience. Then what's the experience? If you are here to buy a shoes particular, you will buy online. Mall is to give experience. People should come to the mall. They should have a good parking. They should have good ambience. They should have, you can say, good movie, good shopping is by default only. And when they don't find the shoes, they will buy from the neighbor. That's our strength. But sharing data is something which certainly it's helpful for the mall, because next time we will learn more which type of profile of people are coming here and which type of people we should keep on the particular zone. I was listening from half an hour or so. I'm fully agree with the Sumit reply regarding the zoning. I'm very particular about zoning. We all know that Vegas Mall is a particular fully zoned mall. After Mall of India and Vegas, people have realized that zoning is the perfect way to, you can say, design a mall, and everybody is appreciating that. But there are challenges in the zoning also. The challenge is that zones are good. You have a good zone, you have price bracket, you have men's wear, you have women wear, you have everything. But end of the day, everybody wants ground floor. But big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, it's not possible. You have to construct mall at least for 4-5 story, because the FAR and the ground coverage is a difference. We all know them. So you respect the zoning. We all appreciate it. It's a good thing. But what is the way out to take you to the right zone? There's one reply by my friend of retailer. He said, you name ground floor as ground floor, first floor as upper ground floor, and second floor as super upper ground floor, and duper upper ground floor. Everybody is happy with the ground floor. So that's on the lighter way. So I mean to say that you understand zoning, it's very good, but you should respect the zoning also. Sometimes it is not ground floor. In Vegas Mall, the TD of first floor is higher than the ground floor. Because all the brands at the first floor are doing much better because they are performing brands. The ground floor brands sometimes are aspirational brands. We keep them at the ground floor to you can say, look, inspire the people. Oh, these brands are available here. Sometimes first floor TD is much better. So zoning is good, but what are the you can say way to convince retailers to come on the particular zone?
So Harshi, very interesting point that you made. You have aspirational brands on the ground floor and then purchase happens on the first floor. There's a book, if somebody has read, is about a company which does pricing of products for various businesses. The book title is Confession of a Pricing Man. And they talk about Apple pricing, where they say there's a moon pricing, and then there is something which is functional. And one price is left and kept only for showing that, you know, you get inspired, you say, wow, what a product. And you say, oh my God, 100 rupees, I'm better with 70 rupees. And the 70 rupees sales goes up. So it's a very interesting book on pricing if somebody wants to read it. I wanted to continue that discussion on mall customer or the brand customer. Priti, I want to ask you because, you know, for us, it has been a standard. If you go to see a tier 2 city and if there is a Raymond store there or Titan store there or Bata store there, you believe that the market has evolved and customer is buying branded product. What is the conversion ratio or repeat customer in a high street store versus a mall store? I think the reason I'm asking, the data clearly will show some differentiation, if there is one.
Hi. To answer this question, see, it actually depends because it's a brand, Raymond is, so we really coexist a very balanced way into malls and high streets. So there are certain cities which are practically mall heavy with the weak high streets. There I would say the conversions are more. Certainly, there are certain cities, especially tier 2, tier 3, where there's a dearth of real estate, the right real estate, I must say. There probably the conversions are more on a high street. Because that little connect in the small towns with the store manager builds with the customer, which brings it back, the customer, to our brand. Yes, technology has played also. I would like to also put this part here where we've been kind of talking about mall customer or a brand customer. I must say that what we have to really work harder is towards probably enhancing a customer engagement.
No, Preeti, data. What is the repeat clientele percentage? On a high street store, is it 30%, 40%, 70%?
Well, we have about a 40-45% of our
40 to 45%. Repeat customer on a high street.
Yes,
and in a mall.
Malls in the bigger cities is higher. However,
is higher.
Yes, is higher. Yes.
So you get repeat clientele more in malls.
More in malls, in the metros in higher cities. However, in tier 2s, we have more repeat customers in the high streets.
80% repeat customer in a mall.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also that, you know, that there is a catchment where it's built. I'm sure that they do enough study to make a center which is so expensive. So it is very clear that whether the brand is available.
Will you agree with the statement Harshi made that mall customer is there and that customer is going back to a brand? Is there data says that in a mall, customer is coming for the mall?
The mall customer is because the brand is there.
Yes.
It's both. You can't say it's only pure mall customer. It's both. Mall customer is because of the brand.
It's both. Actually, it's a choice which a customer makes. Like
but your data says you're 70-80% repeat clientele in a mall, which really builds a case that mall gets more stickiness to a business that you get in your store. We are running out of time, and there is one very important aspect I wanted to cover, F&B. Over the years, the component of, or the percentage of space allocated to F&B has gone up drastically. What used to be 6-7%, today stands 20-22%. So my question to you, Abhishek, Chaayos, Wow Momo, a lot happened in last 18 months. You know, the cloud kitchen business, the delivery business, the, you know, each kitchen having certain brands which are not visible to the walk-in customer but are available on app. Where do you see the stable business here onward? From Chaayos' perspective, you don't have much option to do back brand, or you have one dark cloud kitchen?
We do have, as we speak, we have around 30 cloud kitchen across, and we do a lot of experimental cloud kitchen in new cities as a part of strategy of city entry. Before this pandemic, yes, our major focus was always experience of Chaayos at cafe, but this delivery business played a very pivotal role in survival of our business during COVID, and then our delivery business before this pandemic was close to 20-23%, which has jumped to now when everything is back to business is close to 46-47% part comes from delivery business. So delivery is going to be there as a part of a strategy of.
So will it be part of your economics when you're signing a new store? Will you also look at that as a part of economics?
It is because earlier, delivery also comes with a lot of external factor and external cost. So it was not kept in mind while considering all those old deals, because it comes with a very heavy pricing of paying the revenue to aggregator, and so whatever new deals are happening, or so always we are considering this as a major factor.
Indranil, what's your view?
Yeah,
FMCG.
I agree what Ranjit said. Cloud kitchens are the new normals now. I mean, especially during the pandemic. Yes, we have also opened cloud kitchens. We are about to open more cloud kitchens now. But having said that, we would always prefer customers to do takeaways, and I mean, dining is preferred actually because of the kind of commission that we end up paying to the Swiggy, Zomatos and the other aggregators. During the pandemic, post-pandemic, as Ranjit said correctly, the delivery percentage has really shooted up. But down the line now, obviously things are going to get back to normal. I am sure there would be customers coming out, more of dining and all would be preferred. And but having said that, obviously cloud kitchens are going to stay. Onlines are going to stay. But obviously the percentage which is currently now, which is about a 50% for us, that I think would average down to about 20-25% in future.
You represent a brand which is now expanding, not had too many stores. With what Akash said about 2/3 of the business coming from online, and what Ranjit and Indranil said that cloud kitchen is the business. What inspires you to go and pay high rentals in a mall and still ask for space? What benefit malls bring to you?
I mean, in one word, margins, because cloud kitchens, like, so when the pandemic started, we focused a lot because obviously, they were the most efficient on rentals and so on. So we were focused quite a bit on cloud kitchens. But in general, what's happened now with the aggregators, जैसे इनका सारा पैसा Google ले जाता है, हमारा सारा पैसा Zomato, Swiggy ले जाते हैं. But that's not really a complaint, to be honest, because at the end of the day, whether Zomato is delivering the order or whether we are delivering, the cost of delivery is a factor when your average ticket price is 250 rupees like it is for us. So even if, everything's said and done, even at 18% plus commission, Zomato is still a better option for me to do a delivery than it would be to do it on our own. So, but in stores where we don't have that 20% on the P&L at the end of the month, obviously it makes a lot more sense. So to go into a mall, I have that much leverage, in terms of rentals and so on, to pay extra because I'm not paying that commission. 100% of my business is going to come from, consumers. So
Direct
that's one thing. Also, I mean, unfortunately, the aggregators, the easiest way for them to pull customers is run offers. So it's like 50-60% is not even a thing now. If you go on any platform, 60% discount is like a standard running thing. So obviously it's a very competitive market, plus you're paying a high commission. So a captive audience sort of helps you get away from all of that.
So the cost of customer acquisition in a mall, because there are ready-made footfall, is much lesser for you, and that saves you that margin to have a profitable business there. That's interesting. Mr. Singh, we heard you in the beginning, and you have spent most time, I think on this panel, you are the one who has spent most time in retail. What's your experience over the years? Your categories have expanded in between as a group. You went into fashion, accessories, handbags, and luggage. And then you have seen all this omni-channel and online. What's your say for future? What do you need from malls?
See, our experience do not come only from the Indian market. Samsonite, as you know, is the world's leading brand. And whatever we experienced in the international market, the same thing we experience even in India. It's not at all different. The elite behaves the same as he behaves in US or in Mumbai. Frankly speaking, this is our experience. I don't know about other brands. Second is that about the channels. Like malls definitely gives us an opportunity to get impulse buying. The high street is mostly the planned buying. I want to buy a bag, I'm defined, I go to a high street store and buy and complete my task. But the mall, people do not come with a mindset to buy a bag or a backpack. Sometimes people, like for example, I used to fight with you that I want the store on the ground floor near to the ethos. I was not leaving that location, not for the reason that I was egoistic about the whole thing, no. Because I experienced something very great about it. Somebody buying a watch worth ₹1,00,000 can only think of buying a laptop bag worth 50,000 rupees to keep a laptop which is worth the same value. So we need that customer clientele, as somebody was rightly talking about the zoning. The zoning, to my understanding, to my experience, is that the customer clientele should be falling in the same price category. He should be able to spend 50,000 rupees on a laptop bag when he buys a laptop worth the similar value. And he is the one who buys the watch which is worth a lakh of rupees. So if they are near about, they complement each other. This is my take and my personal experiences. And about the channels, definitely I have a very clear-cut understanding and experience is that they don't fight with each other, frankly speaking. They just coexist, and it is a matter of the price category what you represent in. Like for example, similarly, a backpack worth 50,000 rupees cannot be bought over the online. I don't think the Indian customers, even international, they don't buy online. 5,000 rupees worth some backpack, people just click and buy a backpack online. But offline definitely scores high when it comes to the matter of the price and the touch and feel experience. So they don't compete with each other. We represent both the channels, but we are not seeing any kind of a competition happening because the prices are different, the customers are different.
Thank you. I just have, I think, time for one question. Sahil, we have been seeing a lot of messages on a group that we are together on WhatsApp, where last 16, 18 months, one after other, you have been opening high street stores. Can you share some learnings? Why so much focus on high street? Is it lack of real estate availability, new malls coming up, or is it business which is different, or what drives that thirst? I think you would have opened some 30, 40 stores on high streets?
This year we will be opening around 70 stores. And 70 stores, and out of that, I think 4 of them are malls.
Oh, God bless you. We should buy a bag, pack it, and just leave.
No, see, our strategy, see why we prefer a standalone. Sometime in like lot of malls also, when we prefer to take a standalone, we go to mall, we say, okay, can we have a high street position? In like some of the malls we take. See, what we say in our case, it's more of a planned purchase. Like, and see, when it's a planned purchase, most of the time people are willing, they are a scarcity of time. They want to buy something, and in our case, it sometimes takes lot of time. If a person is buying a mobile, to choose a mobile, I think he might take just a couple of minutes to decide that which phone he wants to buy. But ultimately, to make that phone work, he has to spend that much time at the store. And he can't afford to, like apparel, okay, I've taken a pant, you have to alter the size, I will come after 2 hours, roaming in the mall, you give me my pant. He can't do that with his mobile. He has to stand there for 2 hours. And what we have seen, a person, when he goes to a mall, he sometimes get too indulged, let me go out. So he feel like in a mall, if I go with my family, I can't be in a store for 2 hours. Then a planned purchase when it comes, so he prefer to be in standalone. Lot many time parking fee really makes a big difference. I don't know like now what's happening, but I like, if I see parking fees, if you go to a place, if you have to pay 200 rupees parking, and a person who roams to 10 shops to save 200 rupees on a mobile, he goes to 3 websites and say that what price I will be saving by applying this coupon or this credit card, or I go to Amazon, Flipkart to save 200 rupees, and I go to a mall to get that mobile work, I have to pay 300 rupees parking. So I think on that way it makes more sense for us to be in standalone, but yes, mall also play a very vital role in our business, because what we have seen malls, the ticket price are high. What we was talking, lot of the conversion rate. I don't know, in our case, we have not really worked that what is the conversion rate in a mall and in a high street. We see a total conversion. We never thought it's a good point. Now I will go back and definitely see that what it is. But I feel that ticket price are more in a mall, because people get confidence. One is like they see in my brand, it's Tata, I'm good to buy that. Then he say, okay, I'm going to a good mall. So the tendency, the mindset is a good mall will have good experience. A person who is willing to buy a 3 lakh worth of TV, if he goes with his family, he feel, okay, let me go and buy that in a mall. Because there was one of the gentlemen saying, if a person can buy a 1 lakh worth of watch and 50,000 watch, so that clientele, He says he comes in a chauffeur-driven car. He don't care that where the car is being parked. So then he said, let me go to a mall. Let me buy probably a QLED and all that, which is some 8 lakh, 10 lakh. I can buy a watch. And so he has a complete plan on that. So in that way, mall, in our case, what we do, we choose the mall, that which mall makes sense. And be it, then it's not only the mall, the positioning of the mall, like probably Bansal sir was saying Vegas. So there was an option when we were doing Vegas to be inside, to be outside. That time the outside part was more of a office space. But that time I chose to be outside. So it makes more sense. You get the eyeball, you remind that yes, there is a planned purchase also to be done. Can I do it now? So on that way, we prefer to be standalone. And then when there is a catchment like that, like Malad or probably Andheri and all that, it makes sense if we get a good mall, good position. Else we prefer to be a standalone.
I think the only positive thing you said, Sahil, is that the ticket size in mall is better and is bigger.
It is.
I hope you go back and do an analysis and realize that the conversion ratio is also better in mall. I am so thankful to all of you that you shared your valuable views. And I'm really sorry, couple of gentlemen here, we couldn't reach out to you. The discussion has been so interesting and
Rajneesh, can I just push in one question?
Please.
So,
if one question, one answer will delay one beer for you. That's Amitabh telling me.
वो मैं bottoms up कर लूँगा.
Done.
So, pre-COVID or COVID के बाद से, what we have seen the difference is that our home delivery orders in the food court have grown from 6-7% to say 20% and in some cases 25% also. What do you see for retail, from retail perspective, your click and pay or pay and pick up or things like that? What was it pre-COVID and what is it now? And do you think it is going to touch ever 20-25% of the total turnover from that outlet? Can anybody give us some figures? Not for food, not for food. I'm talking about apparel or something.
Can we have a mic here?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Manish. Yes, definitely. I think what Abhishek said is absolutely right, that pre-COVID, post-COVID, there is a difference. We see the home deliveries scaling up, and that also because there is a certain consciousness about safety, which is leading to this, but I think it is a matter of cycle. And as a brand, as an offline retailer, I would not like that to happen more often. I would like customers to come and visit the store and experience.
So what percentage has changed, Manish? Was it 5%, now it's 10 or 15 or?
So in our luggage category, it is almost moved to about 25-30% from where it was almost 0% or 1%.
So that's a big change.
That's a huge change.
Yeah, so coming back to my original question was, if we provide that information at home, that 25 can become 35 also. So we are adding more customers, basically.
Yes.
No, this debate we can have offline because I don't know, but he told me to cut the session or he will cut my throat. You said something like this.
Listen, you guys might not want a beer, but I do.
Okay, thank you everyone. To save my neck, I don't know what does it mean.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.